as part of the collective, some of the things that we discussed, to your point is, as an investor, have you studied research on the performance of diverse managers? How many women of color own mass asset management firms, at least meaning at least 51% ownership, are currently in your database? And what is the breakdown by asset class? You know, how many women of color owned investment management firms have you recommended to all of your clients? And how much by way of total assets does this account for? Do you even track diversity at women owned asset management firms? And how many women owned asset management does your fund currently invest with? And what is the average asset allocation for all recommended investment management firms? And so I think those are as
but the problem is they're missing us. That they're missing a whole demographic of people in their boardrooms, on their boards, in their advisories, in their consultant teams. We're not there. And so when we present our problems that may be unique to us or our communities, they don't understand it. They don't have a pattern that matches that or understand. So a lot of companies I invest in, white boys aren't co-investing with me because they don't get why.
If they're interested. Really, a lot of these investors should be rating some of these long, stalwart type companies that have Black women that have created products, hold patents, have created concepts and ideas that are buried underneath these companies. There's a lot of reluctance because of high risk, but they weren't reluctant to bleed red ink for Amazon for 8 years. Amazon was not, successful year 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. And so there had not even been the concept of what Amazon is. And now no one remembers that. And so the next level investment, the next opportunity, the 21st century, dare I say the 22nd century, they have to find a capacity to look at those markets, identify successful traits in a business person. If they want a pattern match, look at those traits and what women of color carry those traits versus, well, we've not seen anyone yet that's done that particular type of product or service.
Kind of like the policies within established by the investors themselves, and many of these they don't necessarily have to be set in stone. It's kind of the way things have been done for a long time, and so people kind of go that I don't think it needs to be that much different from investing in other VC fund. As Vanessa mentioned, I mean, most investors have like a target, a focus. They're focused on AI, they're focused on healthcare. And so that's not something that they're necessarily going to change. And so the normal due diligence process, of course, still has to apply. But in terms of the size requirements and kind of all the other things that aren't aren't required by law, and it's just the way that we've done it. I think that if investors took a look at those things and figured out the things that are absolutely necessary and the things that are not, using the analogy of like firefighters, there used to be requirements that firefighters have to be 6 foot tall and whatever weight and so on and so forth. Well, most women aren't 6 foot tall, so that basically, and then we find that being 6 foot tall really doesn't have anything to do with how effective you will be in fighting fires. So I think it's that kind of mindset that we have to kind of apply, especially with regard.
The analogy I draw to that is in my own journey to the boardroom, what I found out was it wasn't an issue of qualification, it was an issue of me not being part of the network. Because how board assignments occur is you have to be in that network and it's people you know. So for me, one of the major issues is women of color are just not in the networks they need to be, and they're not included in development and opportunities related to those networks.